outside. This evening has been hoping that you draw me in. I'll hold your hands, they're just like ice. My mother will start to beautiful, what's your father will be pacing. Listen to the fireplace. So really I bet you're beautiful. Please don't cry.
All right, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Uski and Herbie show here on Perm FM on StreamYard. Thanks for joining us this evening. We started a little bit earlier, like last week, because we got a lot of stuff we got to cover. George Bashar is with us from the Shakedown Thunder. Euan is on an assignment. We don't know what assignment I gave him, but we'll figure out what's going on. Or he thinks he's. Hold on a second. I just emailed him last night with the link. So anyway, we'll get him on shortly. So hold on a second. So anyway, let's go. Let's talk about the ACC championship from last week. George, Clemson and Notre Dame had another impact game down in North Carolina, and it didn't come out the way that all the Irish fans wanted to. So let's go to the highlights here. I know you don't want to see the highlights again, but
hey, I can do it.
Yeah. So here's the video. Probably. Don't understand what's going on there, but anyway, well, Notre Dame and Clemson played their game last week, big game down there, and Notre Dame took the lead 3-0 on a field goal, and by Jonathan there. So what does that think for the Irish here, George, going up 3-0 early?
Well, as we learned in the game they played in South Bend, right?
Right.
Field goals aren't going to win the game. You got to be able to convert touchdowns. You can just 3 points ain't going to help you. It's all about momentum. And going up 3-0, you're just like, well, it's points. You didn't come away with nothing, but you wish it was 7, not 3.
Yeah.
Not too much of an advantage. Because what happened after that is a 10-point swing in the game.
Right, exactly. Because right after that, Rogers from Lawrence for a touchdown, 7-3, Clemson at the end of the first quarter. So, you're thinking you're an Irish fan. Okay, it's only 7-3. You can't be that bad, But in the second quarter, you had a chance you missed a field goal, right? And the field goal changed the whole momentum of that game.
The field goal changed the momentum of the game. And then when they had intercepted Trevor Lawrence and they converted and they didn't convert there, that was another big part of the game.
Exactly. So, well, we're going in the second quarter here. And let's, let me get that off here. We get in the second quarter and they give the ball to this gentleman who's probably going to be a number 1 pick in the NFL, ATN. Who basically is a very good running back and a wide receiver. Yeah, he took off and got a touchdown now.
It was definitely a tale of 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. A tale of 2 games right there. With ETN scoring that touchdown. It was at the half it was 24-3, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you're Brian Kelly, what was your mindset going in the locker room? Going, all right, we're down 24-3. We don't want to make this a laughter. If you were Brian Kelly, what did you do in the second half?
I would have said, guys, come on, wake up. what's going on here? This isn't us. We're not being true to ourselves, and we need to make things happen. We're a little sloppy in the ball exchange between, I believe that was Josh Lugg and Ian Book. You got to clean that up, and you got to figure out a way to get open or give Book some more time because he's running all day, guys. We got to get some protection in there.
Exactly. So at that, starting the second half, you're trying to control the Irish, get the Irish, on the board, but the kickoff goes to Clemson to start the second half, and kind of like Trevor Lawrence basically takes off and runs a touchdown in, and you're basically down. You're at the same score as the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago.
But the first possession, Notre Dame got him to go 3 and out, and that was really the key. Notre Dame got them off defense, got Clemson off the field, and which got the ball into Ian Book's hands. So that was a big problem. Is the opportunities that the defense, they punched the clock and did the work. Is it that the offense couldn't get going?
That's true. They didn't go in. So, 1 second. Did I give them the wrong link? Hold on. I'm trying to figure out here. Must have given them the wrong. Oh, I gave them. Here it is. So anyway, Euan will be on at 8:00, folks. Just want to let you know. Euan, so George and I are doing our recap here of the ACC championship game here on StreamYard. Notre Dame finally gets on the board. Basically late fourth quarter, and basically it was just actually trying to make it look better for the papers. Yeah, Chris Tyree, he's actually going to be a good backup for Williams next year, right?
Notre Dame, and I've said this all season, they have a 1-2 punch, and what you didn't see come out on Saturday was the triple threat offense that this team has. They have scenarios where they can put whatever combinations together on the field. Whether it's running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. And then you got to think about Book. So at your major positions, you got to figure out who you're going to cover, and then you got to worry about Ian Book. But Saturday, the whole Book threat was taken right out of the playbook.
Wow. Interesting. Well, let's bring in our other partner who finally got done doing his chores. We know who he's talking about here.
Hey, guys. Happy holidays, fellas.
Hey. Happy holidays. So, first of all, where is your Christmas hat, sir?
Yeah, don't have one, but it's still out in the garage. But we got a couple of stockings, and we were able to bless the family next to us who couldn't afford a Christmas tree, so we gave them ours. So we're blessed to be able to do that.
That's cool. That's very nice.
Hey, yeah, right on. Hey, George. Christopher, thank you so much for sending me that link. It's great to be on with you guys.
Yeah, I thought I sent you the last night, but it probably was you shouldn't do anything at 1:00 in the morning. That's the thing. When you have to sleep.
Who knows? Maybe you did. It's great to be with you guys. Got a nice lineup tonight.
Yes, we got a lot of good stuff going on. We were just talking about the ACC championship game, and I know you watched it last week. What was your take on that? It just seems like Clemson is very good when everybody's there in the offense.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a completely different game. Everything was different. The swagger, everything, and it was just a crazy parallel from a couple weeks ago. So everything kind of turned around, and you could tell Clemson was playing with a big chip on their shoulders, George, but not just because you cover the Irish. I believe they deserve to be in. I know that we can get into controversy basically every single year, but when you look at the body of work, Chris, I don't know where you stand on it. I mean, I know Texas A&M can make an argument, certainly. That's kind of I believe the strongest argument, but I believe Notre Dame. I believe the committee got it right this year.
Yeah, I think they did too. I think you got the 4 strong teams. You got the ones who played mostly all the games, except for Ohio State. Ohio State played 6 games, And to me, I think I understand why they were making, Jimbo Fisher made the comment about, well, we had a full schedule set where we had one game canceled and we won 7 in a row. I understand that. But I really seriously think sometimes the committee wants to put a Big Ten team in there, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get a Big Ten team in there, because they're not going to put a Pac-12 team in there or another SEC squad, because if they put another SEC squad, it's going to make it look like, oh, SEC runs the thing.
It's SEC versus ACC.
Yeah.
Right, Chris. And, with that, Big Ten school is, Big Ten money, Big Ten following. Of course, if it was going to be a full stadium. But I think there's something to be said with that, because with a bigger school, it's easier to sell television commercials. It's easier to get money. And that TV revenue, guys, it doesn't matter about the fans. The TV revenue is still coming in. So that's, and obviously, George, you know about that. That's one of the biggest reasons why Notre Dame has been independent for so many years. So, I think it's going to be a great college football matchup, college playoff matchup.
Yeah, well, they moved the Rose Bowl to Texas, and that's going to be very interesting. And they're playing the Jerry World for the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl, and that's pretty interesting.
I just thought it was very interesting that with the ACC, the conference game, there was no swag. There was no swag out there for the game, for Notre Dame versus Clemson. There was no pregame hats. There were none of this stuff. There was none of that stuff available. It only happened in spirit, and AC and with Clemson winning, that, and then there comes the championship gear. But there was no gear other than the ACC championship gear, ACC champions gear.
Yeah, that's all. And even that you and I covered the ACC championship game up to this year. I know this year we stayed home and did it virtually, but they didn't bring out the stage, Euan. Remember last year they brought out the stage?
Oh yeah, of course they do it every year. Wow.
Yeah, you know what they did? They put it at the 50-yard line with Davo waving the people, with the assistant commissioner, because I guess Swolpen can't come down on the field or something. So they brought the other guy, Michael, who we met a couple of years ago, Strickland, and he was the one who gave out the trophy, and they did like this weird pop circumstance with the confetti and all that stuff. And I was like, that was very low budget. Like, how many? They should have just moved it from the 50-yard line into the Clemson locker room like they do for NFL, and present it in the locker room like they used to do for the Super Bowl.
That's a great idea. Oh yeah, remember that? Wow, that's awesome.
Like, hey, thanks everybody.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
but anyway,
I
wanted to mention something, Christopher, about what you said earlier about the Buckeyes and their schedule and their really the lack of schedule. And I think the lack of the body of work makes the body of work more important. So the fact that they dominated so much up until the Big Ten championship game, and Northwestern gave them all they could handle for a half, and Justin Fields played his worst game of the season. But having said that, up until that point, they were just so much more effective and more dominant than all the 5 teams that they played. So I think that actually took weighed heavily on the committee's choice as well.
Well, and here's my question to you guys. Instead of scheduling 12 games in a year, you just need 6 games to go to a bowl game, right? So just schedule 6 games. So why do you want to schedule 12 games? What is the 12 games got to do? If you only win 6, you're still going to whatever bowl game you're doing. So why schedule more games?
I'm going to take it one step further for you, Chris.
Yeah.
I say forget the conference schedules, and I say the upper echelon teams, they all have to schedule each other, and they all have to battle it out, and then it makes it easier to do the rankings for the top 4 teams, because if the top 40 teams battle each other in a week-to-week schedule, okay,
right,
you are now not worrying about, well, this is what the Big Ten has to offer. This is what the ACC has to offer. Now you're talking about the best going up against the best every single week, forcing you to come out to be the best.
Exactly, and I agree. And what about this idea? You remember this in basketball. Remember they did bracket busters a couple of years ago, where they had like George Mason take on Wichita State, and it's a real game, but it counts towards the bracket. Have something for football like that, and start like October 31st through the month of November. Have say you have 5 and 6 teams playing each other. And then anybody who had a question would say Ohio State or Clemson, have them play Alabama in a game that will count towards the college football playoff, and then it'll be a little more balanced because everybody will be like, okay, those guys played Alabama 2 weeks ago, got slacked down in Tuscaloosa. That goes towards the college football playoff, and it'll be different. It'll be more balanced because you had these teams play each other.
Oh, I hear you, and I like that point. I think the biggest thing is how are we going to know what games we put on the schedule that we're actually going to follow through and play? It could be one of those weeks. I mean, there's just so much to be left on the table. Quite frankly, this has been an unprecedented year, and I think college football is making the most of it. I mean, it was great when you look at it. It was great that we had it took a while, almost 2 months, but we had all Power 5 conferences actually participate in this college football season. So I think there's some pluses as well because, who knew how to handle all this pandemic stuff? So, George?
Probably the worst part about all of this is that Indiana should have been playing for the conference championship.
Oh, I like that.
Because they beat Northwestern.
That's right.
Right? But and this goes back to what we talked about last week, Chris and Euan, is the way that Big Ten is set up, you have one side of that is weighted heavy. Mm-hmm. And there's no balance in the East and the West divisions of the Big Ten. So you got to figure out how you're going to balance it to make sure that you're getting to the right 2 teams to the conference championship.
Right.
That's a fair point.
I agree with you. I think the East side is
go away with the East and the West. Yeah. Let's have the one conference, and then you figure out the body of work from there.
Right.
And then you look at the tiebreakers and stuff like that. Because the ACC did that this year. They didn't have the 2 conferences. They just had the one grouping. And Ohio State, they still went with the 2 pairings, which made no sense. Indiana and Ohio State should have played again. End of discussion.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Euan? Do you agree?
I do. I do. Look at the head-to-head matchup. That has to weigh more than anything. And I think George it makes a great point. And that should have been, when you look at everything, I think it should have been, but you could make an absolutely legit argument for it, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What they should do
Indiana's one loss was against Ohio State, and Northwestern's loss was against Indiana. So who's on the outside looking in that case? If I was Indiana, I would be screaming right now.
Oh, I think the former athletic director came out, and I think he had nice choice words for the Big Ten officials, and it wasn't something we could repeat on this program, but it was, he was very, emotional about that. Indiana, he's not Indiana's AD anymore, but Indiana gets screwed over, because Ohio State didn't play for 2 weeks time. But we did hear, a rumor that Ohio State was contacted by Texas A&M to play a game, and they told Texas A&M and Jimbo, we don't want to do it. So
I can't comment to that, but what's on the schedule is on the schedule. You never really have anything kind of develop, although actually I will say this, George, that some of those kind of fill-in games, whether one team had COVID or not, I mean, this is like a mash. It's a mash unit for the whole season. It's a mash unit for the schedule. So it's just a tough situation all in all.
Well, and I'm going to say, talking about teams that stepped in to fill a void in the schedule, has to go to, if there was an award for best COVID fill-in for a schedule, it had to be the Chance versus BYU. They said, sure, come across to the East Coast and let's play some football. And they took on a big-time program, and they were true to themselves, and they won.
Right. And, hey, by the way, guys, I'm not sure if you guys heard, but Chase Bryce is transferring to App State.
I know. I saw that today.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was kind of taken back by that, Chris. I was looking forward to seeing him in year 2 with Coach Cutcliffe, and now he's jumping ship to go to App State. So I'd say that's although his numbers won't reflect it, I was looking for such a jump from this year to next year, and we won't see it.
No.
At least not in a Duke uniform.
Yeah, I think something happened down at Durham that we don't know about. Yes, he did throw a lot of interceptions, 15? But, nobody had preseason practice, people. It was all virtually Zoom. So I don't understand why he transferred to, and if Cutcliffe had a problem with his throwing ability or whatever, well, call one of the Manning brothers. They're sitting at home. One of them's doing ESPN programs. I know Peyton's sitting around. Call Peyton.
You're right, Chris. 10 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So clearly something wasn't going right. But now, where does the direction of that Duke program go under center, George?
It's got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
You got to get the next guy in and saying, "Hey, you're it," or you hope that there's someone out there that comes in. But I don't think you're going to get that top quarterback to transfer portal into Duke. It's too bad.
I was looking at with this transfer portal, Florida State, we had five people got in the transfer portal already. Yeah, they're gone. There's something going on down in Tallahassee. If you have 5 players who played a lot this year, saying "see you later," we're going in the transfer portal. So there's something going on in Tallahassee. So we don't know about.
Portal is the easy way out.
I agree, George.
Easy way out. Stick to it. Don't give up on it.
All right. Remember the coach in the program who sold you on going to college, and you wait your turn or earn your turn.
You know what, Euan? That's a great point. Everyone talks about, how come I'm not seeing this guy in the field? I'm not seeing that guy in the field. Well, there's one or two things going on. One, scholastically, you're not doing good enough to get time on the field, and they're not going to get in trouble with NCAA violations. and two, you've had a hard time making that adjustment from high school to college.
Right. Like a good example. There's a guy that Notre Dame picked up last year from where I live on the other side of the bay, from North Carroll High School, and he just got in the transfer portal and went to Duke. And I'm wondering what you couldn't handle Notre Dame. Duke is the same.
There was a couple things going on there.
Okay.
Don't know all the details, but it was the right time for him to make that jump.
Okay. So you knew about it then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a different situation. There was some discussion with him that the whole COVID deal threw him for a loop. He was one of the players that came down with COVID.
Okay.
And it really started beating him up mentally, and he needed time away from football to be around family.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, we didn't know that. See, these are things
that's what the transfer portal should be for.
Right.
So that's
yeah. Well, we're waiting for Jordan Moore to come on. He's a local kid. Speaking about my area, he is committed to go to Duke, and he is actually a quarterback, Euan. So if he can fling that ball around, but I don't know if he's going to be a quarterback or a wide receiver. It all depends on what Dave Cutcliffe would, but I think he should be a quarterback. And you got a young kid, who's willing to do anything to help the program.
Well, this certainly opens a door for a possible, start. But it's if you're going to do anything, Coach Cutcliffe. You look at the kind of the lineage, George, and you like to think that a young quarterback's in great hands. But it's when you might have a good quarterback, but you can't forget about the big boys up front. You've got to recruit offensive and defensive linemen as well, and it's been so tough to recruit. Who would have thought that in the Carolinas that Clemson and then the second team would be Coastal Carolina is the second best team in the Carolinas, and it's just unbelievable. It's not North Carolina, it's not NC State, it's not App State. We're really seeing a turn of the guard here, Chris, in terms of this program. I'm excited for that interview later on in our show.
Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, I see it too. I see a change, and it's like the whole state of North Carolina. But you got North Carolina who's going to the Orange Bowl. They've never been there, and that's pretty interesting. Mac Brown taking his team to the Orange Bowl against a former guy he used to hang out with, Jimbo Fisher, when he was with the media. So and speaking of Jimbo, I talked to him on Sunday. I had a chance to get on there. And I can't get the interview downloaded because they were having problems with the Orange Bowl. But I feel like I'm going to change my shirt and go to Texas A&M because Jimbo knows it's me on the call, dude. Euan. Jimbo, right? Yeah, I get on. I go, hey, Jimbo, it's Chris Heidel. He goes, what's up, buddy? How you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great. Yeah.
That is classic, man.
My brother Will goes, yeah, you should be a Texas A&M fan. I'm like, I'm rooting for him in the Orange Bowl. Yeah, I want him to do well.
When we talk about these bowl games, George, we always talk about the team's mindset. Are they happy to be there? Was it a really, an accomplishment for the program to get to this bowl? What is their mindset going into this bowl game? Or is it, we worked so hard to get a shot at the college football playoff. We didn't get there, so really, what is this season? It's so hard to tell from program to program to bowl game to bowl game.
Well, I think you mean Notre Dame. They play for the national championship every year, so them getting the bid to play in the college football playoff is what they've worked to, is to win that game and go to the next step. Now, last year when they got to the Camping World Bowl, everybody thought, they're just going to show up. They're just going to do this, and just show up and play. No, because when you have – it's all about the recruiting, right? It's all about the next generation of what people call the brotherhood, okay? You have to set the pace for the next set of folks coming in. If you go in there with a laissez-faire attitude, okay, it's not going to help your recruiting class. And it's not going to help me. You basically have that recruiting class in already, but that next recruiting class, you're starting to make an impression on them. So you got to show that you want to do the hard work, that you want to play in those games. But on the flip side, this year people are using the COVID thing not to play because they're not going to get into a better bowl game.
Right. Look at real quick before we get Jordan. He just logged in. Look at Virginia Tech. They're not playing. They canceled the Military Bowl. That bowl game is gone. I put in for you and for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, so you could go. That's my gift to you, dude. Merry Christmas.
What bowl did you put me in for?
The Chili Bowl. Every year. The Duke Mayo Bowl. They changed the name.
Maybe you should contact me before you put me in for any credentials. But hold on, let me get something to drink.
Okay. Well, there's no Christmas gifts, yeah. Anyway, but you got who's not playing. You got Minnesota, Maryland. They're not playing. And Maryland has lack of games. It's like these bowl games, and then you have Tennessee, who was 3-7, going to play in a bowl game. Who wants a 3-7 squad to play in a bowl game?
That's so funny, Herbie. I know.
I made that comment. I made that comment to somebody on another deal on another show. It really means there's a lot of bowl games as it is, but in a year like this, you really got to think about it. What's the benefit of a 3-7 team going to a bowl? You're belittling what a bowl game is already. There's so many of them.
Right.
But a 3-7 team, come on, folks.
You know what, George? When you say belittling, there's so many bowl games, but really, what do you have to do on a 12-game schedule to make it to a bowl game? You need to go 500. So I don't know how much more we could belittle the bowl system because there's 1,000 of them, and now. But George, from a player's perspective, hey, it's one more time. It's more practice time. It's one more time to lace them up. It's a great way to go out saying, hey, we won that Senior Bowl. So there's a kind of a lot of nostalgia behind just playing one last game 3 weeks, 2 weeks after your regular season's done.
Oh, I get it, but the whole 3-7 record thing, you got to be able to look outside what the regular person is falling into that slot. You know what I'm trying to say? Is for this unprecedented year, you pull another team in with a better record.
Right. Exactly.
Chris, are we going to just kind of move on to our next guest coming on at 8:15?
Well, he's right here as we speak. Jordan Moore, who he's a local kid here in my neck of the woods. Hi, Jordan.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, Jordan.
Can you hear us? Hey,
Yes,
how you
can you
doing? So much for coming on tonight. I appreciate your time. You're playing. You recruited to go to Duke next year. So let's talk about that whole process that you went through. I know you probably did. You commit earlier before your senior year or during your senior year?
Yes, I committed in April.
Okay. So,
Jordan, talk about what it's like. Yeah, sorry, Herbie. Talk about what it's like to, go to a program where they have such a renowned head coach in Coach Cutcliffe, and talk about that relationship. I guess it was probably a Zoom call, or talk about how you guys kind of got started down this road.
Well, before COVID started, I had an opportunity to go down to Duke and watch the game against Miami where they won. And I think we started forming a good relationship then. He would check in on me weekly and see how I was doing. And we would get on Zoom calls at least twice a month with all the coaching staff. So he just kept in touch with me. And throughout the process, he was always there. And that really built a level of comfort and trust between me and him.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. I get a chance to talk to him a lot on media calls and all that stuff. And he seems like a down-to-earth guy who loves his players and loves, he seems like he's like a father figure that you really need down there.
Yeah, that's the kind of vibe I was getting from him. That's the kind of feeling that I get from him when I visit. And I mean, hopefully that is the case. And I just can't wait to get down there and play.
George, you got anything?
So, Jordan, we were talking before you came on the show about Chase Bryce going into the portal, and it opens up a spot there at quarterback. Had coach talked to you about what was going to happen with you coming into the program prior to the events of recent?
Well, I'm coming in as a quarterback, obviously. With Chase Bryce transferring, they just said it wasn't. I mean, they have to move on with what they have. And since I'm going in early, I'll be one of the few quarterbacks that are there in the spring. So I just want to use that time to learn the playbook, get as many reps as I can, and hopefully be able to be ready to start day one.
Jordan, what part of your game are you really going to focus in on before you get to Duke to get better at? How do you feel if you had to kind of assess where you are right now getting ready for the college game? What would you say about yours?
I feel like I'm a smart quarterback, but I think that I can learn a lot more about the game. I mean, and with anything, if you want to be good at it, you have to learn. So my football IQ can definitely be improved. And I guess just making reads and reading defenses. I just started playing quarterback junior year, so I have a lot of growth, and I feel like I have a lot of upside and potential.
Nice. You saved your body from all those hits up until junior year, Jordan. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, Jordan, we had a guy on the show last week another guy out of Maryland, and he's actually going to the University of Maryland in the fall. The one piece of advice that we gave him is let the game come to you. Don't try and rush it. You just got to go out there hungry, but don't get lost. Don't get lost in the big lights, because the folks that get lost in the big lights are the ones that tend not to be able to take the step to the next level.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that word of advice, and I'll definitely take that into consideration.
Yeah, Jordan, we always talk to coaches about like balance in the locker room between upperclassmen, lowerclassmen, and one of the common denominators that all coaches and this network, we've interviewed members of the NFL Hall of Fame, we've interviewed players like Jerry Rice, Chris Carter. So we've been there, but they all have one common thing, and they always say when your most talented player is your hardest working player, it sets the tone for the team accountability. So one thing that I want to kind of impress upon you is, hey, you're coming in as a freshman, but let your work ethic, let your attention to detail speak volumes, and you won't even have to open your mouth to those upperclassmen because they'll see. But hey, every quarterback, George, I heard, is a natural born leader. How do you feel like your leadership is, right now at the high school level, and how will that translate into next year, Jordan?
Well, I feel like I am the hardest worker on the team. I'm first one there, last one to leave, and that was shown through my high school career. We started out my freshman year, we were 2-7, and junior year, my last full season, we went 8-2. So I bring a winning attitude to the team, a competitive edge, and that's what I think is going to translate into to college.
Nice.
Hey, Jordan, you throw lefty, right? You're a left-handed quarterback, right? There's not a lot of left-handed quarterbacks, right?
No, I'm a right-handed quarterback.
Oh, you're right-handed. Okay, it looked a little different the other day when I was looking at film. But you're down here. You're here in Baltimore. Have you? I know you're wearing number 8. Is it because of Lamar Jackson and how he made the quarterback position a little bit better?
I wear number 5.
Number 5, okay.
It must have been that same tape where he thought you were a lefty, Jordan. We're easy going here. Jordan, if there's one throw that you like the most, or that you feel like, that chemistry, and so many people that don't know the game just think of the quarterback position as just a productive one, but it's that chemistry with your receivers, reading the defenses. Talk to us about kind of that family tree of routes and, what you're comfortable with and what things you kind of have to work on.
Well, at Loyola, we basically did half field concepts and full field concepts. It was more like a college-like system, so I'm comfortable with every throw. I know I can make every throw. It just comes down to the chemistry with my receivers, and that will come with reps, but I'm comfortable making every throw.
Nice. We're excited to see your development. As Chris said, we've had a ton of we've been covering the ACC for over a decade. We've had a ton of interaction with Coach Cutcliffe. And you know what? Every time he sees us, it's like he's our grandpa that we, didn't see. He wants to check up on us. He asks about our families. So really, Jordan, I can't impress upon you. We're going to be following your college career. We're going to be rooting for you. We're going to have you back on Herb FM radio, sports radio. And we just wish you all the luck. Continue to stay disciplined and work hard. And, we'll show it. You're going to show up on Saturdays. Big time. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Jordan. Take care.
Thanks,
All right. See you. Thank you.
All right, folks. That's Jordan Moore, who Herman Studios is. He's very good. Seems like he's a down-to-earth kid. Hopefully he gets his education. He's there for education, but hopefully David Cutcliffe can make him as a great quarterback.
Well, the door's certainly open for him to have an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're going to look back on this day, 4 or 5 years from now when he gets drafted in the NFL going, remember we had this young kid out of Baltimore and we didn't even know who he was. He was just Jordan Moore. And we'll be really happy that we helped them, push them along.
Well, he'll be back on the program, and we'll be able to talk to him about that, Herbie.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's great.
It's been 2 weeks with 2 good incoming freshmen.
Right. Exactly. And we'll see a lot. A lot of these college teams will have a lot of incoming freshmen that's going to make a lot of impact this year. Because you got all these seniors leaving, and you're gonna have surprise teams like Coastal Carolina. Like you were talking earlier. They have a freshman quarterback.
He can start against Notre Dame, guys. That would be awesome. Imagine that young kid coming in getting to start against you, Notre Dame.
Oh, I love it.
Career.
Jeez, if I against Notre Dame, that'd be if I was younger and I got a chance to have some kind of skill. I didn't have any skill when I was a kid in school except for baseball. But if you get recruited, like Euan, you played offensive lineman. Did you get anybody to call you? Did you get anybody to say, "Hey, you want to go to play college? You want to play at UConn?" Did you get anybody?
I actually had a Division II school, Springfield College, recruit me, and I got a half baseball, half football scholarship there before I transferred to UConn. But that freshman year was very, very difficult. I didn't know freshmen had to run scout team for the varsities, defense. The defense, I got pummeled all day long. It was the toughest year of my life. And then I transferred over to UConn. George, I snapped both my patella tendons or my kneecaps on one play on a 99-yard touchdown run, and I was playing linebacker in college, and I dove, knocked him out at the 1-inch yard line, and they had to help me off the field. And I was on crutches and a cane for like 6 to 8 weeks. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
But you saved the touchdown, right?
What's that?
You saved the touchdown, right?
I did, and then he went in for the next play right afterwards. I was thinking, I'm like, at least someone else is going to score the touchdown, but it took him so long to get me off the field. He came back in after that long run, and then just went right in untouched. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh my God, jeez. Well, that's great. Hey, you stopped him at the 1, except for you lost your, you snapped everything, but it's okay. You did a good job getting the guy. Yeah.
It was funny because when they were lined up at the 1-yard line, I was thinking safety, and then the guy ran right by me. I'm like, I better take a pursuit angle, otherwise I'm never going to hear the end of it in practice. And
Dude, crazy. Well, we're going to play a video right now. I talked to we here on the station. We love bowling. I know Euan's working on his bowling right now because we're going to get him to go down to Richmond for the Players Championship next month. We're going to get him. We're going to, that'd be fun to do a documentary of you bowling every. see how
are you going to meet me in Richmond?
Yeah, they're going to be doing this Players Championship thing, and my good friend Danny Wiseman, who won the community award for bowling with youth bowlers, he's getting out of retirement to bowl in this thing next month because he wants to get back on television because he hasn't been on TV since 2009. So so him and I were talking last night on the video here because he bowls at youth bowling and a lot of stuff. So let me play half of his interview. We'll play the rest of it, down the road because we talked about cornhole and everything else. So here is my interview with Danny Wiseman last night. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special interview with here on Uski and Herbie. This is Chris Heidel with a good friend of ours who is a friend of the show, Danny Wiseman, who local guy who always loves bowling around here and does a lot of stuff with the youth kids, and got a big award from the PBA last week for the Tony Reyes Community Award. So talk about that award, Danny. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, I got a phone call from our commissioner, Tom Clark, and evidently somebody had submitted. Well, I know who submitted it, but one of the kids I coach, his dad told me that he submitted it after the fact, but I didn't know beforehand. Leo Menendez, and I was very surprised, very honored. Tony was a good friend of mine when he bowled on tour. Unfortunately, had an accident and passed back in 2012, and the PBA decided to do an award in his name because he was such a great guy with people, with working with kids, with coaching, with just an all-around fantastic man, and just gone too soon. So for me, it's an honor because not only because Tony was a friend, but I know what he did for his local community, for his college that he coached, and of course, watching him in pro-ams and how he was with people just would light up a room with his smile and his heart. So for me to be honored with this, I don't look for any of the accolades anymore. My career's been pretty well much done for, the tour days have been over for a while.
Right.
I'll still compete locally and all that, but for me to be honored with this in his name, it's I'm just very proud of it and very honored, and I'll keep doing what I do. I work with a lot of the youth bowlers. A lot of them have done a lot of fantastic things, with tournaments, competing, winning around the country, locally. And I just, I love giving back. I didn't have that opportunity when I was a kid. And there was a lot of good local bowlers, but no one had experienced what I did. My 20 years on tour, watching and competing against the best in the world, the knowledge that's gained from that, and the mindset, the process that has to happen in order to compete at that level, to give back to these kids. That's what it's all about, and to get them to understand it.
Yeah, you've been doing this since 2012, but not this year because of COVID and all these new rules. But you guys are definitely going to do it next year, right?
Yeah, we're going to try. I work with the PJBT out of Pennsylvania, and we couldn't do it, obviously. I asked for a lot of local sponsor monies, a lot of friends that get involved that have companies. And I couldn't do it last year. So I'm hoping, let's see how the world goes. I'll start working on this in May, and we'll go from there and see how things are going by that time. But I'm hoping to have it again in October. Yeah. And it'll be the second week in October, right before Columbus Day.
Yeah, you talked to me about it last year, and I tried to get you on, real quick about it.
It just didn't happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. I waited all the way till August, which is really late, because it takes months to put this together with all the sponsors I get and getting the entries out. And in 2019 we had 342 entries. So wow. I mean, I gave out $38,000, and it's on my website still. And prior years are still on my website, DannyWisemanBowling.com. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just a lot of fun for me, to get back and work with these kids, coach these kids, and watch them basically, grow as bowlers and people, and to mentor them as people to grow. I mean, they have their parents, obviously. Their parents are the number ones, but, right. They're not going to be able to give back to them with I can, with the bowling part, with the mind, with the mental game and the physical game and all that. So it's a lot of fun.
It is pretty cool. All right, there you go. I love the old George,
you got to put those lights on. I'm not talking to you the rest of the show.
Okay.
Did you notice, Herbie? They were blinking.
Yeah, they were. They're blinking. Yeah.
I need to see either that Christmas hat on you, George, or that awesome, I forgot what it's called, that cowboy hat, Stein or something.
Stetson's put away.
Yeah, I need one of those two things on it every week, George, or we're gonna have problems. Herbie, great interview. Huh? I love athletes that want to give back, pal. But what are we doing with our schedule today, buddy? Like, we're just skipping over people haven't called in, or what's going? Who's up next?
People coming. Don't worry, we got people coming. I got to pull it up here. We have at 8:30. Let me get my little trusty link up here. I sent it all to everybody.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, where is everybody?
Well, I thought Jordan was going to be a little bit longer, because I thought he was talking a little longer, but I guess not. But it's okay. No worries.
He's a good kid, George. I'm going to be following him closely, Chris. These freshmen that we have, it'll be great to see how they do their freshman year. and to have them on before their first game, George, I think is going to be awesome.
I think that there's a good young class coming in, and these guys got good heads on their shoulder.
Exactly. I'm trying to get some. It was supposed to be the guy from North Carolina. Let me get him on. Hold on a second. Let me mute myself so I could find him. So hold on a second.
Yeah, he's only a half hour late. No worries. George, it's the holidays, George. We got to be easy going here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've been on vacation a week already.
Oh, how was your vacation going? I forgot.
Vacation's going good, except for the other game that you probably cashed in on.
Yeah, George. So I had Clemson team total over 34.5, and they scored. Yeah, so that was tough for me, especially since they had 24 at halftime. You know, I need 11 points, and they only scored 10. So that was tough, George.
You're probably like Notre Dame picked the wrong time to play defense.
Yeah, I'm like, can I just get one more field goal? And they were so close to that guy. Oh, I don't even, George. I'm shattered by it. You know, I'm shattered by it. Well, let's see. Maybe we could have Charlie Cross on a little earlier, Herbie.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. I'm trying to get Andrew Jones to come on, who covers North Carolina, and he said he's been in the waiting room. I'm like, I don't see him in the waiting room. So I guess I give him the wrong one. I just hold on a second here.
Yeah, so the week has been going by too quick.
George, look at my better half right here, George. That's my dog.
He's a great looking pup.
Thanks, George. We've been going to the dog park. You got to use your tools in your tool belt, pal. We all can't be lucky and happily married to a beautiful lady like you. But, some of us got to go out there and use the tools in our tool belt. And I tell her, look a little extra cute when we go to the dog park. But, nothing's really been brewing over there, GB. GB.
Just got to try a different park.
Yeah. Hey, George, you got any nicknames, pal?
Oh, my God. Do I have nicknames?
You got to have a nickname up there. And Herbie, Herb has Herb FM. I need to put Uski. But tell me about some of your nicknames, George.
The Bash.
Oh, that's it. We don't need to go any further. Herbie, can you make sure after Bashara, it has AKA the Bash on there? I need that on there next week. Are we going to do a show next week?
Yeah. No, we're taking a week off. We're going to do. Okay. We're going to enjoy the holidays and and watch bowl games and I got all the you and I could Euan and George, we could actually sit home and watch all the bowl games and talk to the coaches afterwards because they're doing it all virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to travel. I can travel to my and go. Yeah.
Well, George, we got you till 9. We're going to try to fill up the airtime. Herbie, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get Andrew on. I don't know what's going on with him. He said, I guess I gave everybody the wrong link. I guess I got to fire the program guy who wasn't paying attention.
Well, we can just shut it down early tonight if you want to, Herbie. I mean, I feel a little naked with George leaving at 9 o'clock.
Well, no. If anything, the show gets better after I leave. So.
You wonder why I love this guy, right? Herbie or what? Bash. I'm never calling you George again in your life, Bash. I just wanted to let you know. That's
I'm glad I came out with Bash first.
Dude, that is a sick nickname.
Yeah, so I can play some videos.
Bash. Love it.
Yeah,
my brothers they called my brothers and I the Bash Brothers.
Oh, does it get any better? Oh my goodness! My brother and I, when I was a little darker, younger, they called us the Samoan Brothers. I remember. I don't know if you remember WWF. They had a wild tag team called the Samoan Brothers. Personally, I was a Road Warriors guy, Eagle and Hawk for me. They were the best tag team, I think. Herbie, I don't know where you stand on that. But I was a Road Warriors guy. Those guys were awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
Really quick, you stand on the top rope. You stand on the top rope. That's where you stand with it.
Bash is going off. Yo, Bash, I am strong the first episode in the new year, Bash. I got some podcast equipment, but I haven't mastered it yet. I'm trying to get Herbie down here it'll really take our show to the next level with production wise. So I'm slowly but surely getting there. But it's a slow crawl, my friend.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So I got some videos we could play. Some interviews I did. I'm waiting for Andrew and everybody else. I guess because the 2 days before Christmas, everybody's gone.
Videos.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, here's Andrew. Andrew's here. Well, let's get Andrew. Andrew finally got back on. There we go. Hold on. There we go. There's Andrew. How's it? Thanks, Andrew. Are you there?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I gave everybody the wrong link, so I'm going to fire the program guy tonight. So he's going to be fired before Christmas. So I'll get a new guy in next week. Yeah.
Sounds good. Fire away, man.
It's going to be the bad Euan show after the first of the year.
You're savage, Chris.
I know. Well, Andrew, we got you on the program. Let's talk about the Orange Bowl coming up in January with North Carolina taking on Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. So, what's your take on that?
I think it's a huge task for Carolina. It would be even if they didn't have any guys opt out. And now without Chaz Surratt, Michael Carter, and De'Ami Brown, they're certainly going to have their hands full, but it's also a great opportunity for them. They're going to get a chance to see some guys get meaningful reps and practice as starters the next week and a half. That will be a big part of next year's team, so I think they could benefit. But this is a big task for them. I'm not sure they're ready to scale this mountain just yet.
Andrew, talk about what you've seen, the ups and downs from Sam Howell in his second year. I mean, I've seen, flashes of just absolute dropping dimes and throwing dimes and seeds. I don't think anyone's questioned his arm strength. What do you see underneath the helmet in his decision-making this year?
He's for a sophomore. I covered Phillip Rivers. I covered Russell Wilson. I covered Mike Glennon. I covered some pretty good quarterbacks, and he is as good or better than any of those guys at this stage in his career. He makes very few mental mistakes. Actually, probably the thing that he does more often than anything else that has to be fixed as far as the mental stuff goes is he sometimes will hold on the ball a little long. He takes sacks. And in fact, he's been credited. He's been charged with responsible for, I think 8 of the times he's been sacked this year and several of the quarterback hurries. So, but that's a minor thing. I mean, the throws he makes, the reads he makes, he rarely throws the ball into double coverage. A couple of the interceptions this year have been balls that have been tipped, batted, even by his own teammates. So Sam Howell is as close to pristine as you can get for a sophomore quarterback playing at this level.
Wow.
Andrew, he looked very comfortable. I'll be honest with you. I was watching that game as I covered the Irish. He was very comfortable there in the pocket. He some of those plays were very effortless, and I was quite impressed. I mean, he claps the hands, he gets the ball, and he knows what he's going to do with it, and he can hit his guys.
Yeah, I think the reason he holds on to the ball sometimes so long is because he's so confident that he believes he can make the throw. He can make the play no matter what it is. And you're kind of alluding to that right there. No doubt. And in that game, that was their worst offensive game by far as a team. And yet, even in the fourth quarter, when they were 3 and out, he still looked comfortable and confident out there. They were just getting whipped up front. He didn't have a lot of time sometimes, and Notre Dame just took them completely out of their game. But that wasn't on Sam. Sam's a spectacular player. Sam's a pro. If he was 2 inches taller, I think people would maybe think of him a little bit differently. But this day and age, you don't have to be 6'3" to play quarterback at the next level. He can make every throw. He makes every read. He's a leader out there. He's got 17 touchdown passes and no interceptions in the fourth quarter in his career. And most of their games have been close. He's throwing a lot of meaningful passes in the fourth quarter. So this guy has the it factor as much as anybody I've covered in college and football.
Wow. Hey, Andrew, so much of college success is, quite frankly, predicated on recruiting. Talk about the job that Mack Brown has done since he's come onto campus. I mean, I was talking to a millennial friend of mine, and I was like, Mack Brown's doing a great job recruiting at North Carolina. And he's like, I heard he was a good coach back in the day for Texas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to just shake. But a lot of these younger players maybe weren't, around then, or they didn't see Mac Brown. Talk about his impact in recruiting and just his interpersonal skills. We've gotten a chance to talk to him many times, but how is he doing it in your scorecard, Andrew?
He makes sure that the kids know what he did there before. When you walk through the Keenan Football Center, it's kind of hard to ignore it because it's plastered everywhere. I mean, they have had bouts of success in their past, and they celebrate it pretty well, and kids know about it. They don't, when they walk through the Keenan Football Center, I don't think they're getting the impression that hey, the national perception is this is a basketball school, doesn't exist inside that building. And the message that they get is that we're a football school. We've won before. We could win again. And here's a guy who, when he was last year, they were in the top 10 for consecutive years. And if the bowl system was structured differently in 96 and 97, they would have gone to Orange Bowls then. They would have gone to Sugar Bowls or Cotton Bowls. And so now the structure is a little bit different. And they're actually in an 8-3 team, and he couldn't get into one of these games with 10-1, 11-1 team. It's crazy. But his ability to communicate, his ability to make whoever he's talking to feel like they're the only other person in the room and they're one of the most important people he's talked to that day, and it's a meaningful conversation, is something that very few people have. Most great coaches kind of have something along those lines. Coach Krzyzewski's that way. I've dealt with him a lot. Roy Williams has some of that too. But Mac Brown almost has it like a politician, except you don't think he's fake. You think he's pretty genuine. You believe that what he's telling you isn't a load of BS trying to get your vote. And so I do believe that when kids are being recruited by North Carolina, they talk to the other players in the program, most of them are telling them, look, they're up front. They'll tell you if you're not going to play. They're not going to lead you along and surprise you with negativity. They believe in being treating people with the kind of respect that they deserve. So if these kids want to play and go somewhere else, they're going to let them go somewhere else. They're going to let them know, look, you're not going to play for 3 years. You're not going to play at all. And they didn't get to make a decision whether they want to be there because he doesn't want to have kids in the program that leave and it's a surprise when they leave because it makes it a lot harder to lay that foundation and to recruit. So, being open, being upfront with people is something that I think a lot of people don't expect in college sports, and there are some programs maybe you don't see it. I haven't seen it a lot in football, but I'm seeing it with Mac Brown, which is kind of refreshing from my perspective because it makes it easier for me to cover him, cover his program, and report things that are accurate to the people who read our work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for that insight. That was amazing.
Awesome answer, by the way.
Thank you.
That's good.
Sure.
Hey, Andrew, I got to talk about the running game against Miami. I think they're still running as we see. They're still going. They ran Miami out of whatever they call that stadium now, Hard Rock Stadium. They ran them out of town. Jeez.
Well, shame
500 yards on the game.
Miami wasn't ready. Miami wasn't ready, and that was a big part of that storyline. Carolina deserves a lot of the praise they've gotten for that performance, but I'm in the press box looking down there, and North Carolina hasn't whipped a lot of teams up front consistently, good teams in the last 20 years, but they whipped Miami from the first snap up front, even on the defensive line. Carolina's defensive line is not very good, but they were very, very good and at times dominant in stretches. And, I give Carolina a ton of credit, but you also got to shame Miami for the way that they prepared, the way they entered that game, the way they performed.
Andrew, keys to the game against Texas A&M, and give us a prediction.
Well, Carolina has to run the ball. Sam Howell's spectacular, but the games that they've lost, they've not run the ball well. They weren't great down in Florida State. They struggled at UVA, and they didn't run the ball well against Notre Dame. So if they don't run the ball well, they're not balanced. And not balanced, they don't go into a game trying to be balanced. They believe if their offense runs the way it's supposed to, the result will be a balanced attack. That they'll have 325 passing and 225 rushing, that kind of thing. So it's not like it's an agenda going in. They just have to be who they are, and then it will be that way. But if they're not running, it puts more pressure on Sam to make throws. And I think teams can kind of pin their ears back, and they do have pass protection issues at times. So I think that they need to be able to run the ball. then protect Sam. And the defense has to get off the field every once in a while, maybe flip the field with a couple turnovers, which they haven't done this year. So those are the keys. As far as whether they win or not, I think Texas A&M is about a 10, 12, 14-point favorite in my estimation, because I got to see North Carolina win a game like this before I can predict them to win a game like this. The program is very much in the growing stage. They're in the middle of a process right now. And sometimes part of the process is you get to a game like this and you get beat and you learn. They did it against Notre Dame. They learned a lot. They weren't ready to beat a team like Notre Dame. I'm not sure they would be even today, but they learned from that, helped them get ready for Miami. This is a different animal. Texas A&M is a lot better than Miami. As far as I know, they have no opt-outs. They're going to have their full complement of guys, which just makes the task even more challenging. I think Carolina will be competitive, and they're going to get a lot out of this, and the program will benefit moving forward, but I have a hard time seeing them win this game.
So, Andrew, the bad part about that game is that Texas A&M is going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to take it on the next person in line, and that's too bad, for North Carolina. But I will say this: your two running backs beat out Etienne and Kyron Williams in the ACC All-First Team, I believe. Correct?
Carolina, I think Michael Carter was first team, and Javonte Williams was second team. And by the way, Texas A&M, if there's one thing that they don't do great on defense, they don't have a great pass defense. And even though De'Ami Brown's not playing, Carolina's got some dudes that can, as Mark Packer says, they got some frisbee catching dogs. They've got some dudes that can, find grass, catch the ball, and run to the end zone. So I don't think they're going to be hurt in that respect. It comes down to the running game. They have a chance if Sam goes crazy and they get a little bit of a running game. But otherwise, A&M is just going to be better at most spots, and they'll have more depth. And like you said, the chip on the shoulder factor, if they have that chip on the shoulder, sometimes teams say that they do, and they will, but 2 weeks later, the chip's gone, and they're not ready. We see that in bowl games a lot.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, Andrew, I have one more question. You and I used to talk a lot on the radio side. You're a big Orioles fan, so what did you think about the Orioles this year? Doing that six.
I didn't hear the last part of your question. I didn't hear the last part.
I think he froze. Give him a quick second.
I think he's asking about the Orioles, and I heard him ask about what I thought about last season. It was a throwaway season. I'll tell you what I think about last season. Anytime Chris Davis is in the lineup, to me, it's a waste. You cannot sell me a full rebuild when you got a $23 million guy sitting in the clubhouse who won't take extra batting practice, and it is a bad example to the young players. Sorry, but until they cut the cord with Chris Davis, I'm not going to totally buy into the full rebuild. Now, I think they've done some nice things in the organization, Chris. They've replenished the farm system. They don't have an embarrassing farm system anymore, but they're still, 3 years away from being respectable. And I look forward to seeing Adley Rushman on the big club. That's gonna. I think fans are gonna generate a little buzz when they start getting some guys like that up there who have a chance of being the future of the franchise.
Exactly.
Did I answer your question?
Well, Andrew, answer my question. I love talking baseball with you. We'll get you on for baseball. Yeah, we'll get you on for baseball down. When baseball starts, hopefully in April or whenever they get this COVID shot for everybody.
Jeez. I hope to get up there to a game this year. We'll see if they're letting money in.
I know, except for cardboard cutouts. You should have had one. That would have been funny.
Yeah. People don't need to see images of me. Zoom is a bad thing for AJ because people have to see me now.
Yeah, I haven't seen you I haven't talked to you in years, and I'm like, I was on the Orange Bowl thing the other day. I'm like, that's Andrew? I haven't talked to him, and I'm like going through my log, going, I would like to get him on the program. Looking for him. Yeah,
I haven't. We haven't talked to Orioles in a few years for sure.
Exactly. Well, I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for coming on, and hope everybody's safe during this holiday season. And we'll get you on after the Orange Bowl and see how everything went.
Thank you, and likewise. And I appreciate you reaching out to me. It's been a while, and I always enjoy talking with you.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
And Andrew,
thank you.
For Notre Dame game, look me up, and we'll get together.
Absolutely. Well, Carolina goes up there next year, so we travel wherever the Tar Heels go. We go. So I was up there in 14, which is still the highest scoring game ever played in that stadium, and that was a treat. I like all the
Nice.
Let's Go shirts, the Lou Holtz Let's Go T-shirts that people were wearing. That was cool.
You know what? I'll even give you the personal guided tour of campus. How does that sound?
You're on, man.
Awesome.
Pencil it down.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
All right,
That
guys.
sounds like a
Thanks.
plan.
Hey, Andy,
Thanks, buddy.
You too. Take care.
bye-bye.
See ya. All right. So, folks, that was Andrew Jones, who's North Carolina publication for all the stuff for North Carolina for football, basketball. Ewan had to take his dog out for 5 minutes, so he will be back on shortly. But we'll get this guy on, Charlie Krause, who does a show. I found out the other day he was doing. I'm doing some research trying to get some people to come on. He does a show that covers everything from college football, college basketball, right down the alley with the college football playoffs. So here's Charlie coming on. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Chris. How are y'all?
Doing good. Thanks for coming on tonight. I know you 2 days before Christmas and everybody's busy running around the stores making sure everybody has a gift, or else you're going to be that guy. Forget to drop someone off. So,
Amazon and I have been good friends this year, so I've avoided trying to be that guy. The package delivery people know where I live quite well these days. But
Nice.
yeah, this is a great time. Bowls are starting up, and then college basketball is underway, so it's been a fun time regardless. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about the bowl game on right now on ESPN. I want to call it the Florida State, the Memphis versus Florida and Atlantic. You got Willie Taggart, who was with Florida State last year at this time, he got fired after the Miami game. And then you have Memphis, who Florida State took the Memphis coach to become their coach. So I guess this is two teams that has some connection. So what do you think about what's going on right now?
well, and I hate to say unsurprised by it, but Memphis, at least halfway through, is doing what I thought they would do. And even though Brady White's not the best quarterback in Conference USA, you can just tell he is next level compared to the other side of the ball. Florida Atlantic really hasn't had much to show so far. Maybe they'll make a game of it in the second half, but so far Memphis is just the superior team.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the college football playoff. We had, the 4 teams picked on Sunday. You had Notre Dame taking on Alabama, and you got Clemson and Ohio State Part 3. It seems like this is like we're watching Rocky and Star Wars sagas every year, in college football, because they just want to keep the same rerun. But Ohio State played Clemson last year, and Clemson had a hard time with Ohio State. You think Ohio State might have their number this year?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think this is, like you said, a Rocky 5 in the making, where Alabama and Clemson are going to rematch. Ohio State, just last year, they came down to that final drive, and if y'all remember right, there was the pick in the end zone that sealed it for Clemson, and it was a close game, and all the ratings and all that kind of stuff. I think if Clemson's defense is back to full strength, which it hasn't been all season long, and I'm not a Clemson supporter or a Clemson homer, but I'm trying to be as neutral as I can on this. Unfortunately, they showed Notre Dame that what a full defense looks like. And even though it was a great game the first time around, the second time around, Clemson came, wake-up call. And I see Clemson just wanting to lick their chops again and face Alabama one more time in Rocky Part 38.
Oh, jeez. And this time it's going to be down in Miami. It's like it seems like every year is a different location. So but I think Notre Dame could beat Alabama if Notre Dame gets everybody healthy, right, George, and everybody in the same sync, because they knocked off Clemson. It took them double overtime in South Bend, but they could do it. If they put if Brian Kelly does his homework, but he only has a week.
I'll be honest with you. We talked about it before the show, Chris. Notre Dame, they beat Clemson at home, and when you give Trevor Lawrence a reason to come out and beat you, Okay, like the fans that stormed the field did, and I heard the stories that I heard about what went down on the field. You don't need to give him a reason to have a chip on his shoulder. He's just going to take that and multiply that factor, and he's just gonna take it to you. And that defense that they have, it was great. It was great to see their defense back. And I'm not playing the Notre Dame card, but look what's going on with their offensive line. Their two big guys are out. It's not an excuse. It's got to be next man up. We're not gonna, as a guy who covers them, it's not an excuse to say you didn't have your two regulars in there. You're playing Division I football. You got to fill the spot.
Well, here's my take on this. So the average college football game, let's say, has an average of 14 possessions. So the first thing Notre Dame's got to do is cut down the volume of possessions and play keep away. So they do that. Let's say it's narrowed down to about 11 possessions, maybe 12 at most.
Yep.
They've got to force about 5 punts. 5 punts is the magic. 5 punts and or a total of combined turnovers.
Yes,
That's
sir.
limiting Alabama to 4 touchdowns and about 2 field goals. That's still 34 points Alabama's going to score. So Notre Dame's offense needs 5 touchdowns to win that. If they do that formula, yeah, they can win. But that's a big formula that so far 0 out of 11 teams have conquered.
And field goals aren't going to cut it. And that's what happened in that first possession against Clemson this past weekend. You can't go down the length of the field and then ask your guy to kick a 51-yard field goal and think that you're going to come out on top. You got to convert 3s to 7s. There's no way that you're going to win a football game with field goals.
And they have 3 very talented weapons. Alabama does on their team. The only reason they're not going to finish first, second, and third in the Heisman votings is because they're all going to lose votes from each other. But Devonta Smith might be the most dangerous player in college football. He might not win the Heisman. If I had a vote, he would win my Heisman vote. But he could score anytime he touches the ball. And I just don't know. And I think Clemson's defense might be able to limit Alabama's offense, but I don't know of any other defense that can match with Alabama's offense.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, let's bring in Euan. Euan just came back from doing his stuff. Euan, we're talking about the college football playoff, these games between Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson and Ohio State, and we're just going through, about Alabama and Notre Dame. Do you feel like, what do you think about that game?
Well, Charlie, I wanted to ask you something that you just I came back on, and you talked about possessing the football. To me, that means you can run the football. How does Notre Dame up front? I mean, I got to tell you something. I've been very impressed with their offensive line. I've been impressed with how they pick up blitzes. I've been impressed with their constant. It seems like they're consistent. Charlie, where do you fall on whether Notre Dame can effectively run the football or not?
Well, the thing about the ACC is, whether you guys agree with this statement or not, it's turned into the running back league. And so they do have one of the top, you could argue 5 best running backs in the ACC are some of the 5 best running backs in the nation, or at least you put those 5 and they would easily be top 10. So right there, the ball falls on Kyron Williams' shoulders. And he's got to do what he does. And just there, I'm not talking about handoff every play, but Ian Book's got to make some good decisions. And he's got some feet under him as well. So if he drops back and if there's nothing there, take a 3-yard gain, take a 5-yard gain, be smart about it. And then Brian Kelly needs to be smart about this. And you don't need to snap the ball on the 20. You need to snap the ball on the 5, assuming the score is 7-3 or 10-10 or something close. If you're down 17-0, then throw out that game plan and you got to figure out a way to play catch up. Because what was it a couple of years ago, like 35-3 or something? Right. Notre Dame can't get into a track meet. Notre Dame, the Vegas says Notre Dame's a extremely heavy underdog, but Vegas isn't always right. And there is a formula to beat Alabama. It doesn't happen often, but and the one thing No, I've never met the guy, and I'd probably be scared to death. His hitman would probably come after me if I said it to him. But the way to beat Nick Saban is have him not prepared for you, because what seems to happen the most when Alabama loses is he's not ready for something, and you've done something to him that he's not ready for, and to catch him off guard.
Charlie, and you can do that with, as I talked with someone earlier today, if Notre Dame goes dink and doink, and that kind of thing, taking the short yardage versus trying to go for the big ball all the time, I think the small ball can come out with a victory that way.
Well, and even though he's fired, look at the person who's beat Alabama the most, Gus Malzahn. So how has he beat Alabama more than any other SEC coach combined in the current SEC rankings? He's done it with a heavy ground attack, a couple of trick plays, and then every now and then going deep. But it's the RPOs, it's a ground game, it's time of possession, and then, like I said, Alabama's still scoring somewhere between 28 and 34 points. So there is a way to win, but you're going in knowing you've got to play this one style of game, and it's got to go to the way you script it.
It's got to go flawless.
Charlie, I just feel like even if they're not explosive in the running game, even if they're not averaging 4 or 5 yards a pop, the effectiveness in terms of the play action, I think, will just open up a little bit for Ian Book and throwing the ball downfield. Are you kind of with me on that same accord, or do you think they have to have 150, 200 yards rushing in this game to keep Alabama from scoring the 34?
Well, and somebody once told me the rushing yardage could be it could be a hidden stat that means nothing, because if they break a 76-yard run on the second play of the game and you have 115 yards at halftime, well, 76 was on one play, so it loses the credibility. Mm-hmm. If they are moving the ball consistently, and yes, with play action, and they're taking the game into the second half, and then especially in the fourth quarter, because that's when the D-line will wear out, and this is where Alabama's strength is. Their D-line, they sub out the 5 stars and put in the second string, which is 5 stars. So if you're making that 10-man rotation play a lot of downs, where most teams have a 3-4-man rotation on that D-line, that's where the SEC normally has that strength, is on the O-line and D-line, and you can wear them down. But I sound like a broken record here, but you got to keep going back to that one way that's going to win, and I don't think a shootout is the way. You don't want these 3-play UCF 3-play 96-yard drives all passes, and that's nice for one time, but look what happened to Ole Miss when they did that against Alabama. They needed that one drive over this year, and they just couldn't come up with it when it mattered the most.
Long, sustained drives and keeping Alabama's offense off the field is key.
Yes,
it is. And to put in perspective, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I got to ask you, coming up, I think the great bowl game this weekend coming up is the Cure Bowl. You got Coastal Carolina taking on Liberty that was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. So that's pretty cool by that bowl committee to get both teams that should have been played 2 weeks ago were down there in Conway, South Carolina, but they had that COVID stuff actually playing in the bowl game. What do you think about those two teams playing?
Well, funny you bring them up. I'm kind of, I don't want to say loyal, but my part of my checks go to Conway because my oldest son is a freshman there, and he reports live on my show from Conway. So an hour and a half today, I was on the press conference with Hugh Freeze and Jamie Chadwell covering the Cure Bowl and all that kind of good stuff. So originally I was nervous that Coastal will feel ousted because the college football playoffs is not made for the group of 5 schools. It's just not. So I thought they would be bitter and ho-hum, it's the Cure Bowl. Well, 24 hours later, they got over that, and they're ramped up and ready to no fault of their own. And Malik Willis, who's tested positive for COVID, he said he had like 1 or 2 symptoms. So even though he had 1 or 2 symptoms of COVID, he wasn't experiencing the hard factors that, really, really affect some people with COVID. So it sounds like it's going to be healthy versus healthy, which is always what you want to see. I believe it's one of 2 non-New Year's Six bowl games that feature ranked team versus ranked team. The other one being Oklahoma State and whoever they play
Miami.
off. Miami. So it's one of the 2 there. Grayson McCall, redshirt freshman quarterback, he's going to be the real deal. He's cocky enough to be a great leader on the field, but he's also calm enough where he's the duck on the pond. He's calm, he's cool, he's collective. He's only thrown 2 interceptions, and only one of them on that Troy game. I doubt any of y'all saw that one, but did he look like a pure freshman? And then that defensive line for Coastal, look what BYU just did last night to Central Florida and just Dylan Gabriel. But yet BYU scored 3 points the entire second half against Coastal Carolina. That second half adjustment is where Coastal Carolina traditionally comes off. And this might be a shootout early, but if it goes the way the season's gone, I expect people like Silas Kelly and Teron Jackson and then Teddy Gallagher, who's the one that's become really good friends with Marty McGee, and then Pat McAfee with the blonde mullet. Those defensive guys will take over in the second half, and I think Coastal should, in theory, pull away. They're a touchdown favored, but Malik Willis is a special dude.
That's true. Well, Charlie, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. We'll talk a little college basketball in the new year, because I do need to talk to you about Gonzaga playing. You want to play them this weekend, or you want to play them next weekend? Because my brother told me they already played the number 2 team in the country. They're going to play the number 1. They're number 1 in the country right now, and they're going to play. They already played 2, 3, and 4. And if the tournament started right now, they'll be a 2nd seed in the regional somewhere. That's pretty crazy.
I don't. In my poll and my ranking system, they're number 1. They've already whooped up on Iowa. I think they get Baylor later. For me, it's Gonzaga, big drop, everyone else. So, but yeah,
exactly.
It's theirs for the taking. And unlike college football playoffs, Gonzaga actually has a chance to be a 1 seed.
Awesome, Charlie. Happy holidays, Charlie.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank
All
you.
right, have a good one, guys.
You too. Thanks.
Bye. That's Charlie Krause, who does a show. It's called, real quick before we bring in Joe here, but I know somebody's leaving the show here, and it's George.
All right, Bash, go ahead. Do what you got to do, Bash. Hey, when we first meet, Bash, we're going to do the arm lock. All right? Like the Bash brothers. Yeah. Yeah, big dog.
God. I love it.
All right, just another 5 hours on the show, JB. You're lucky. I'll pick up the slack for you. You picked up my slack before. Go take care of yourself, Bash.
Hey, guys, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I know we'll be talking before the new year, but it's been great with you guys. I enjoyed this opportunity to be on with you. And let's hope that we can turn 2020 into a better 2021. So
it's going to happen, Bash. You're along for the ride, brother.
Okay, guys.
Right,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, dude. So, all right, there goes George rolling out.
All right, Herbie. So that's great. I love your Mets hat, by the way.
Yeah, I got to get you a Yankee one.
Yeah, you got to get me something. And I got a Christmas card yesterday, so it feels like Christmas now. But hey, that's cool. Hey, you don't have a Christmas tree?
Yeah, I have to take a picture for it. Nicole and I did the COVID-19 Christmas tree. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, good. I want to send a picture. Send it over to me.
We'll send it over, and I'll show Joe later. We got Joe here on the line. Joe Cashon, who covers. He's the voice of Coastal Carolina. I know he's getting ready for this big game on Saturday against Liberty. The game that should have been on 3 weeks ago, but someone had COVID. And they brought in BYU on Saturday, but that weekend. But Joe, thanks for making some time for us 2 days before Christmas. But what's the feeling like?
Excited. Can't wait to go. First ever bowl appearance. We were hoping it was a New Year's Six. Probably should be there, but didn't work out for us. So instead, we're going to go play an old rival. And what you guys were just talking about, one of the two outside of New Year's Six bowl games with ranked teams going to play. So I'm excited to get on the road, head to Orlando here in a couple of days.
Hey, Joe, it's been a special season to say nonetheless, but, I live in Charlotte, and, to say, in the Carolinas, both North and South Carolina, that this team is the second best team next to Clemson is quite frankly staggering. When you talk about the expectations for first North Carolina, then App State has been slowly but surely, their program has been ascending. And then you got you guys. How has this transformation come to fruition?
Rather quickly. I don't think
JC, I love it.
No one, including me, and I would say probably Jamie Chadwell, and probably in that locker room thought 11-0 was going to happen. I mean, you look back in August, we didn't even know if we were going to even have a season. Everybody was kind of sitting around waiting to see what the conferences were going to do. Would we even have a year that we could play? And then, of course, last year we were 5-7. We lost some close games, had a chance, but just couldn't quite close the deal in a lot of those things. And then all of a sudden this year, things just, we stayed healthy. We got us a quarterback. We played outstanding disciplined football from week 1 all the way through, through 2 weeks ago at Troy, and we've just been better. Every Saturday we've lined up and we've been better than everybody we faced. And, I hadn't really thought about what you just said, in terms of the Carolinas, the second best team. But yeah, I mean, I would I'd say we're better than North Carolina. I wish we could play them. I know they have ACC auto bid getting into the New Year's Six, but I'd sure like to take a shot at those guys. But we beat App, we'd have beat South Carolina. Anybody else, but it's just been one great.
Let me tell you something. That swagger that your team has, you got it, pal.
You can't help but get it. I mean, Jamie and these guys, I mean, they believe they're going to go out and beat everybody. And I believe it too after what I've seen. I really do. Let's line up and play these guys. I don't care who it is.
Well, I'll tell you what,
just ask Les Miles. Les Miles is 0-2 against you guys. Les Miles is like, the Mad Hatter, and he goes to Kansas and he loses twice to you guys, and you haven't heard a peep from him for a while. So I guess he's trying to rebuild Kansas, but that's a big win. And plus, I talked to CJ, your running back last week on we're going to air it during Christmas, but he said he wants to play against the big boy before the college football playoff came out. He was like, "I'll take on Alabama." I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, go ahead, bring it. And I think it's great that you have that mentality. Like, we don't care who you are on the name on your jersey. Just come play, and we're just going to knock you out of the ballpark. Is that true, Euan? Like, it's basically what you do. It's like you're always fired up. You just look at the name. Don't look at the name. Just go and destroy them.
Well, I mean, you go back to the Liberty week, and that game, of course, we couldn't play that. Find out midweek, find out Wednesday, Thursday that wasn't going to happen. And then it's like, hey, ESPN and game day, we've got BYU on the docket. Let's bring them to town. Let's play them. We're 10.5-point underdogs. We're going to line up against those guys. They're bigger in terms of physical. Physically, they were bigger than us. But it's like play them. Let's get them here. Let's see what we got. Play them.
Hey, Joe, I got to tell you, I've been so impressed with Grayson. I mean, here's a kid that quite frankly, he just seems unrattled. Whether it's fourth down, whether they're down, whether they have to make a play, this kid just seems to have just the mental as well as the physical gifts, but we'll get into that. But what have you seen from him kind of, under the helmet mentally with his reads and his decision-making this year, Joe?
It has literally been flawless, from the first game against Kansas. I mean, I got on the tail end of your conversation there with Charlie, and he brought up a little bit about the Troy game and he's made a couple of bad reads, a couple of bad throws this season, one against Arkansas State and then one against Troy late in the game. But I mean, option is a big part of what we do this season, namely because he did a lot of that at Indian Trail, where he comes from. Up there. And so Porter Ridge High School was where, he matriculated, and then he ran a lot of that stuff there. And so he comes to Coastal and can run the option, and he makes all the right reads. He makes all the right decisions, it seems like. And some of the pitches that he makes, sometimes you got guys in there and, he's trying to maneuver and get that ball out there on the perimeter and that kind of thing, or he'll keep it, or he'll ride it off to the dive or whatever. He does that. And then in the passing game, he climbs the pocket, moves around, avoids the defenders that are coming at him if the pocket breaks down, and then he's going to find somebody. He's going to find somebody down the field. And you talk about that poise and, the unflappableness, I guess, if that's a word. The end of the Troy game, he throws that pick with, a little over 2 minutes to go. Troy goes in and scores and takes the lead. And with 1 minute and 20 seconds, we have no timeouts and we're down 3. And it's like, and we're on our own 25, and we've got to get at least 45 yards to get a good shot to extend the game. That's the only time all year that I really sat there as I was calling the game, and I thought, man, we're in a little trouble here. We're in trouble to lose this game.
I know.
And we were talking about it on the air. It's like, okay, what do we need to do? How can we go extend this game? We're not extending the game. We're going to go win the thing. I mean, he goes, boop, 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 run, and then boop, and then we're in the end zone, 45 seconds. And I just look at my partner on air, and we just start laughing. It's like, this kid, this redshirt freshman doing this kind of stuff. And Troy's not bad. In that kind of situation, a redshirt freshman might go out there and, be overcome by the moment. Not Grayson, not this team, not this year, but he's just special. I mean, I heard last year as a true freshman that he had a chance to be really good, but he got that Kansas game number 1, and he did some things, and we were like, whoa, we might have something here, this kid.
Yeah. Well, Joe, talk about this rivalry with Liberty, because I'm from up here. I do the Colonial Athletic Conference, and we don't see a lot of teams from the Big South used to be part. These are 2 old Big South rivals that used to play. One was going to win the Big South and go to the playoff, and the other one stayed home and played golf and got ready for the next season.
I have seen all 14 games. I came on the radio broadcast with Coastal when we started in 2003 and started on the sidelines, and we started that first season in the Big South, and Liberty had been a charter member of Big South football the year before. And I've seen all the games from 03 all the way through 16. And, just like you just mentioned, I mean, most of the time, once we got good, it took us about a year, and then we got good. And then a couple of years later, about 05, 06, Liberty got good. And from there on out, it was like every year, you had the Big South championship at stake. And then once, the Big South got that auto bid, it took a while to get the auto bid to the FCS playoffs. And once that happened, it's us and them. And then, Stony Brook was in the mix too. But I mean, really, when it was us and Liberty playing each other, I mean, they were the ones who kind of, took the rivalry to the next level for the fans with the hashtag Beat Coastal and all the red T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And our people responded to that. We responded in kind to that. And, for a lot of years, it was so much fun. You'd go to Liberty, you'd go to Lynchburg, and those people are just screaming. They're throwing stuff at you behind the stands. Their students, their kids were going crazy, and then you'd come to our place, and our people would go crazy and make a bunch of noise, and we'd get just jazzed up and riled up when those guys came to town. But it has been 4 years, since we played them. We were making our exit from the Big South and FCS around 2016, and that's the last time we played them. And of course, at that time, we were moving on, and they were looking to move on too. So it's a little bit of, to me, it's a little bit of a different feel now. I mean, it's a little bit of a different feeling that we haven't played those guys. New coaches, new players, new situations for both teams. So I'll be interested to see kind of what the atmosphere is going to be on Saturday.
Yeah. It's going to be cool. Hey, Joe, I got to ask you a question. You've been on the air with these guys for a very long time. I remember you guys, Coastal Carolina, came to Towson. I think it was like 08, 09, and it was a double overtime or triple overtime game at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Do you remember that game? That it was like missed field goals, and it was middle of I think it was middle of October, and I was there for that whole game, and it was pretty cool, that game.
You know what? That was 2010. It was a 5 overtime game, but I was not there because I was deployed to Afghanistan for most of the 2010 season. So I missed that. I was following that as best I could from Kandahar Airfield, and I'm like, what is going on with this game? What is going on there at Towson this week? I mean, holy mackerel. I mean, can anybody win this thing? I remember it. I remember it, but I don't remember it because I wasn't there. But I know what game you're referring to. I wish we lost. Towson beat us, but I mean, that was a crazy one.
Joe, give us a prediction and a couple keys to the game on both sides of the football.
You want a score prediction?
Yeah, so I know where you're leaning, but you can throw an unofficial official prediction out there.
I think we're going to win, and I think we'll cover the spread. I mean, I'm not a betting kind of guy, but I know what the spread is, and I'll say that we're going to win, and I say that we cover. I think keys to the game are going to be, one, can we hold the ball like we do? We average over 34 minutes of game time of possession. Can we keep Malik Willis off the field? I mean, just look at his numbers. They pop off the sheet. You don't really need to know much else. I mean, I know they got a lot of good skill guys. They really do. But, I mean, he's the guy that makes that offense go. Keep him off the field, win time of possession, win third downs. We are really good, one of the top, teams in all of FBS football in third down conversions offensively. They're one of the best teams at defense on third down. So who wins that battle, I think, will be key to who wins this football game. But I feel really good about it. I like what we've done all year. It's the year of the Chanticleer. I think we're going to cap it off. I think we're going to finish 12-0.
Joe, strap it up, baby. You still got a couple downs left in you, Joe? Come on, baby. Awesome, man. I love the enthusiasm, Joe. I love it. Your belief, man. You've been with this team every year, so it's not just special for the fans. It's not special for the alumni, the players. It's special for, hey, we're meant not to try to be unbiased. But, dude, this is your heart right here. We're going to be rooting for you and thinking about you on Saturday, buddy.
I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. It ought to be a great game and, a rivalry renewed, and it should be special. I'm looking very much forward to it.
And also, thank you for your service as well, helping, with this country and, you doing all your fine work besides being the broadcaster with the Army and all that stuff. So, thanks for your support for helping this country.
Very, very much appreciated, guys. Very much.
All right. We'll have you on soon, Joe. Happy holidays to you, buddy.
Hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you guys. And let's go Shots.
All right, JC. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Oh, my goodness. Whatever happens on Saturday, Herbie, we got to have him back. I love the passion, Herbie.
We'll get him on. Yeah, it's fascinating. I didn't know it was 010. I just remembered that game because I used to sit there at Towson University watching this game, and I was like, this game was not ending. And I'm looking at my watch going, I might be here till 1 a.m. Yeah,
that's crazy, Herbie. I mean, you got a great memory like an elephant, Herbie.
Yeah, I don't understand. I just remember missed field goals, and I just remember that color of the uniform, and I'm like, okay, I remembered it. And it's like it just pops in my head after like it just happened yesterday. But anyway, so before we get Joshua on and our last guest of 2020, let's finish up I talked to some players yesterday. I actually talked to some Alabama players, Euan. I had a chance to talk to Mac Jones, the guy who's now the leading vote getter for the Heisman. So I talked to him about, this is on the video. I asked him, how do you keep yourself focused on the game, knowing that you hear all this pressure of you being the guy that's going to win the Heisman? So here he is.
Hey, Matt, thanks for taking my question. How do you zone out all the talk during the week saying you're the Heisman Trophy front runner? How do you get yourself focused on the game?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to what we've talked about throughout the year. I mean, there's a lot of distractions with COVID and the season and disruptions, and Coach Saban has talked about that all year long. So just listening to him and focusing what you're supposed to focus on, all that really matters is that you try and do your job each play. Some plays you won't be able to do your job as well as you would want. And then you just go back and learn from those errors that you made. But it all comes back to just.
Great question, Herbie.
Yeah, because you got it. Yeah, because he's always on. Everybody's picking his game every 5 minutes, and even we talked to Charlie about Devontae Smith. I talked to him as well, and that's a different question I asked him about Notre Dame, but he couldn't just use the the old Nick Saban line. We practice hard and we do the great job. And we just do our reads and all that stuff. Yeah, the Nick Saban. It's like we hear all the time. But I just feel like these kids are just And I talked to Kyle Trask yesterday about being in Jerry World. I'll get that. Be on our New Year's. I think we're going to do a New Year's Day thing because I got a lot of cool stuff we're going to do. But these kids are kids, and there's all young adults, and they're making them. They're turning them into like these like superheroes. And they're going to be like these Heisman Trophy and and all that stuff. And the Heisman Trophy is basically the voting comes out like now, and they're going to be later in the late in like January 7th. So that's a late start for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, well, just because of COVID and everything. But you're right, Herbie. I mean, to be able to block out this talk, I mean, you say what you want about the college football playoff. The biggest individual award known worldwide is the Heisman.
Right.
So, and all of the stipulations and all of the media appearances and all of the pageantry that comes with it. But I think Mac Jones, I mean, gosh, that offensive line is just amazing, Herbie.
Did you see that game I didn't see the game on the SEC game, but Florida came back and made it a ball game in the fourth quarter, and if they didn't, that was a very good ending. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw the highlights, and I was watched it. It was really good.
Right. Oh yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Alabama had to outscore them at the end.
Exactly. So let's bring in Joshua Moore, who covers Kentucky, who saw Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and Alabama ran him out of the stadium. Pretty much, it was bad. It was 60? It was 66-3, the final score, or what was that?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head if it was 63 or 66, but I don't know. It was 60 something. So at the end of the day, it was bad. I think Bama. I had a buddy or another reporter here, I should say, in the state that I thought Bama was going to take it to Florida, and they pretty much did there for a while. I was pretty impressed with their Florida's ability to come back there and kind of make a game of it. But I don't think anybody's beating Bama this year. They got a lot of dudes. I mean, it's when your number one receiver goes down and your offense doesn't miss a beat, it says a lot about where you are as a program.
That's true.
Hey, Josh, what do you think about this matchup in the Gator Bowl? I mean, NC State is coming in with a little bit of momentum. What do you see in this matchup here?
Yeah, I can't say that I've gotten to go and scout NC State a whole lot ahead of time. I usually take this, or I try to take this week off usually, and so I've been kind of working on some stuff around the house and kind of mini vacation before next week. But it's momentum wise, it's interesting, right? Because you've had NC State has obviously put together a really good record, and is a team that people seem to respect pretty well, and for what I don't know. My thing is with ACC and SEC, it's so hard to compare sometimes across the conferences because you don't know. I thought it was really interesting that Kentucky came out and was opened as the favorite. I don't know how that line's moved. I've not kept up with it, but just with the ability for UK to have done what it did, considering the virus, everybody dealt with that, but also to go through the season and have they lost their offensive line coach to cancer, dealt with some other stuff within the team that to come out on the other side of that and still want to play, I think says a lot about where they feel they are in terms of wanting to keep playing because they had the choice to vote and say we don't want to do this, but I was they seem to feel pretty confident in themselves, so I think and I don't see any reason not to think it'll be a good game. I mean, it seems like it'll be two the bowls are so weird usually because you have like almost a month typically to prepare. Well, this week, because the way the matchups kind of got revealed, the timing of it, I don't think it's going to be more like a real game week. I think in terms of how the teams kind of get to get ready for each other, not just Kentucky and NC State, but all the balls, a lot of the balls. So it'll be pretty fun to see how all this stuff starts shaking out.
That's true. A couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to talk to a kid you have who lives in our neck of the woods down in PG County, Joshua Paschal. Paschal. He's a good kid. Looks like he's been there for his brother was there way before he showed up and all that stuff. So it's in the family pretty much. So what did he bring this year? He seemed like he brought up a better season than last year.
Josh is great. He's a good player, first of all, but kind of a fringe. He did, as far as like all SEC. I mean, the problem is that there's so many good D linemen there. He just has no chance of making that. But a guy that's kind of on the fringe there, a pretty good linebacker, D end, but just a great, leader in the locker room. A real nice guy. He's one of their, when we have media availabilities, you kind of know the guys that speak well, and then the guys that maybe are a little harder to talk. And Josh is always fantastic. He's always one of the guys. And if they have to, like this past weekend when they announced the bowl, they kind of default sometimes to like team captain type guys, and he's one of the guys. He's just a dude that knows. He's been through this rodeo before with the media and just speaks really well. And I think he's part of their leadership council within the team, and just does a lot of community service. Guy that survived. We kind of had a melanoma scare a couple years ago, and has come back from that. Just a really great story too. And he's a great player. So you really like Josh Paschal. He's kind of emblematic of, I think, how that defense wants to play. To go out there and they've not been so great at creating pressure. They kind of towards the end of the season there. It's so hard to tell what they were because of Alabama, Florida, and then South Carolina was falling off the rails. So it's kind of hard to take away much from that too. You don't want to get think that they suddenly figured a lot of things out against the South Carolina team that had like 40 guys in Lexington with them. So it's again, I think Josh is a great kid, and look forward to seeing what he does this next weekend.
Joshua, talk about the job Mark Stoops has done. Kentucky just used to be kind of a doormat, in football, and then it was just predominantly known as a basketball school. But 5 consecutive bowl appearances is no slouch for any program. Talk about what he's done for this program and what lies in the future for this Wildcat Nation.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. It's reflected in some ways in his contract. He's got one of the better deals in college football as far as you're in a place where the fans. Some people I think want a lot. They want Nick Saban type production here. They want championships, and that's, I don't want to say it's unrealistic. You could conceivably in 1 year anything can happen if you have the right senior class and a lot of everything kind of falls together perfectly. But in general, most football programs, not just Kentucky, but especially programs like Kentucky that started, like you said, from the basement and are kind of climbing up, the best you can hope for most years is 8 or 9 wins. And I think Kentucky's in a position now where bowl eligibility, I know this year it was weird, but bowl eligibility shouldn't be a question. They should always make a bowl. And they should always be able to be in contention to where in a place where if things go well and they play and they have some luck with injuries, that they should be able to finish with 8 or 9 wins most years every year, and that not be shocking to people. And I think that's a place that they've gotten, and it's continuing to show they're keep having they've had good recruiting classes still. This year is a little like the rankings, it looks worse than in the rankings, but when you kind of break it down by position and things like there's the areas of really pressing need were things that they did have a kind of a improvement in, but in general you're still fighting a lot of the SEC. It's just an uphill battle, and you say you just gotta keep chugging along and keep grinding that stone, and I think that's a place where Kentucky is. They're definitely not. They're never going to be what the basketball program is. Although it's funny that the I wouldn't have thought most people would think, by the end of 2020 that the football team was going to have more wins than the basketball team. So that's kind of where we're at in 2020, I guess.
Wow.
Exactly.
Sick, Joshua. Love it.
All right, Joshua, thank you so much for coming on. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Are you going down to the Gator Bowl, or are you going to stay home and do it virtually?
Yeah, we've not traveled at all. I traveled to Knoxville, which turned out to be the one road game worth traveling to this year. From the if you're looking for a win. But no, we've not traveled for a while now because it's just not worth it. You don't get anything from it except just saying you were there. And I am kind of disappointed because I like Jacksonville. I like that area a lot. I vacation there with family in the summers a lot. So like Amelia Island, that kind of area is one of my favorite places to go. So it's too bad, but hopefully that it goes well and it's a really fun game.
Yeah.
Josh, happy holidays. Take care, Joshua.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, see you. All right, Euan. What a heck of a 2020 season we had. We started this video thing back in May.
Yeah, we're excited for next year, Herbie. I just wanted to tell you on a personal note, I love you and Nicole and your parents and Will and your other brother and family's family. And Vixen and I, we just love you, man.
Yeah, we love you too. And we maybe next year we'll get you up here for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that, because I talked to my mother about it. And she goes, "Yeah, we'll get them up here. Yeah, we'll try."
Well, hey, give Nicole my best. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Love you. Great show tonight. Great job putting this together.
Are you available on New Year's Day? Because I was thinking you and I should do a New Year's Day show and get ready for all these.
You know what? I'm going to be up at my friend Pete's place, but I can jump on.
Okay.
What do you want to do? You want to do 12? Oh man, 12, 10 o'clock after. That might be a little tougher because I have a feeling I'm going to be having a few adult beverages on.
You'll be like this, dude.
Talk about more off air, okay?
Yeah.
I know, right, Herbie?
Yeah, we'll talk about the time. If we have to do it like after the show, after the games are over, or do it Sunday, I don't care. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But our next show here on Wednesday will be January 6th and at 8 o'clock, and we're going to be watching all the bowl games and relax and have a good time. And Merry Christmas to you and Vixen and everybody in your family and your godmother. I hope she's doing great. Because I know she's in West Virginia, and we had a lot of tough things here in 2020. I had to deal with my brother in the hospital. You dealt with situations in your life that was kind of hard, and I'm hoping 2021 will be a better year, and we all can get out of our houses and go find jobs that we want to do, and go to a vacation spot and have fun. That's what
we're going to take our podcast to the next level in 2021.
Yeah.
Buddy, I'm out of here. I love you. Merry Christmas.
Enjoy. See ya. Have a good one.
Herbie for president. Herbie 2024. Herbie and Uski are on the ticket.
All right, folks. Have a great Christmas. We love you here at Herbie FM Radio.
I'll take your hat, your hair looks swell. Mine is my moving.
At least you're gonna say that I tried.
What's the sense of hurting my pride? Baby, don't hold out. Baby, it's cold outside.